The morning the ambulance wailed down Maple Street was the morning everything changed for 49-year-old Daniel Reeves. It was a cold American dawn, the kind that carried a soft grayish mist and an unsettling calm, the kind that made the world feel suspended for a moment. And in that suspended moment, as neighbors peeked through curtains and the paramedics rushed inside the yellow house, Daniel lay motionless on the kitchen floor, surrounded by scattered cereal boxes, unopened vitamin bottles, and a pile of mail he had meant to sort through someday that suddenly felt like it might never come. His breaths were shallow, like the faint flicker of a dying candle, and his heart beat as if it had forgotten how. The plates in the sink, the empty soda cans lined up like soldiers, the greasy pans on the stove all silently testified to years of neglect, exhaustion, and emotional wear he kept hidden from everyone. This wasn't a dramatic movie scene. This was real life. And in that terrifying instant between consciousness and unconsciousness, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear that he had run out of time. Fear that he had wasted the years he had been gifted. Fear that he had become too broken to fix. Read before we continue. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of turning your life around, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support keeps these stories alive. Read when Daniel woke up in the hospital, a sterile smell of disinfectant hung in the air, and he felt a weight heavier than the Roman IV taped to his arm. The doctor didn't need to give a long speech. A single look was enough. High blood pressure, severe obesity, prediabetes, fatty liver, heart strain, a body begging for help, a body he had pushed past its limits because surviving from one day to another felt easier than truly living. The irony was cruel. He had once been a high school athlete, someone who knew discipline, who knew movement, who knew strength, yet decades of stress, a failed marriage, and the lonely silence of an empty house had pushed him toward fast food, sugar, and a lifestyle that slowly drained the life out of him. He had become a stranger even to himself. When he was discharged, the doctor handed him a simple pamphlet titled Power of Vegetables, the American Guide to Healthy Eating. The cover looked plain, a basket of fresh vegetables, nothing extraordinary. But inside, something about the photographs of fresh greens, bright carrots, colorful peppers, and earthy potatoes stirred a faint, almost forgotten memory. He remembered his grandmother's garden, the smell of soil, the vivid colors of vegetables she would pull from the ground and place gently in his little hands. He remembered the pride of eating something he had grown. He remembered feeling alive, connected, purposeful, a feeling he hadn't felt in years. At home, the house felt emptier than ever, as if the walls themselves reflected his loneliness. He sat at the kitchen table staring at the pamphlet for nearly 20 minutes. The silence felt accusatory. The pamphlet looked too simple to save anyone's life. But Daniel was tired of the pain, the helplessness, the way food had become both comfort and poison. He decided to try, not some extreme diet, not some celebrity routine, just vegetables, real food, real change. Something he could control. His first trip to the grocery store was awkward and almost embarrassing. He didn't know how to choose ripe tomatoes anymore. He held broccoli in his hand and felt ridiculous. He stared at kale like it was a foreign object. People passed by him with overflowing carts of fresh produce, and he wondered when he had drifted so far from normalcy. Still, he filled his cart with spinach, carrots, zucchini, onions, tomatoes, sweet potatoes, and bell peppers. He bought lentils and beans, whole grains, and a few spices he vaguely remembered from childhood recipes. As he checked out, the cashier smiled and said, "Cooking something fresh today." Her voice carried kindness rather than judgment, but it still hit him hard. Fresh, How long had it been since that word described anything in his life? Cooking his first vegetable-based meal felt like an act of rebellion against the destructive habits he had nurtured for years. He sliced onions with trembling hands, chopped tomatoes unevenly, sautéed bell peppers in olive oil, and added spinach that wilted into a rich green softness. The aroma filled the kitchen, and for the first time in many years, the space didn't smell like microwave dinners or greasy takeout. It smelled alive. When he took his first bite, it wasn't just the taste that shocked him. It was the realization that food could still comfort him without hurting him. He felt something inside him loosen, something brittle that had been caged for too long. The change didn't happen overnight. The first month was brutal. His cravings attacked him like ghosts demanding attention. He missed the salty crunch of chips, the sugary rush of soda, the quick comfort of fast food. His body felt sluggish, detoxing from years of abuse. There were days he sat on the couch fighting tears, not from hunger, but from emotional weight. Food had filled the emptiness, and now the emptiness had to be faced. But he kept going. He cooked every day. He learned new recipes. He watched YouTube videos on plant-based American eating. He experimented with roasted vegetables, colorful salads, hearty soups, and grain bowls that were as beautiful as they were nourishing. Slowly, the kitchen became his safe place instead of a reminder of failure. Little by little, his body responded. His clothes loosened. His breathing eased. He slept better. He started walking around the block, then 2 blocks, then a mile. Neighbors waved. The world felt less sharp, less cold. He began to see color again, not just in his meals, but in life itself. Every vegetable he chopped became a small act of reclaiming himself. Every meal he prepared felt like stitching together the pieces of a life he had once abandoned. One day at the store, he overheard a single mother telling her young son that they couldn't afford the colorful vegetables he was pointing at. Something about the moment struck him deeply. He saw himself in that child, longing for a life filled with nourishment and hope. On impulse, Daniel approached them gently and paid for their vegetables without saying much. The woman's eyes welled up with gratitude, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt warmth bloom in his chest. He wasn't just healing himself. He was becoming someone capable of kindness again. Months passed. His transformation wasn't dramatic or flashy. It was slow, steady, and deeply human. His doctor looked at his reports with amazement. Blood pressure down, blood sugar normal, weight dropping consistently, a heart growing stronger instead of weaker. Whatever you're doing, the doctor said, keep doing it. And Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in a very long time, a pride. He joined a community garden project where families, seniors, and young people learned to grow vegetables together. The soil under his fingernails reminded him of childhood afternoons with his grandmother. He grew tomatoes and spinach, cucumbers and peppers, and he shared his harvest with neighbors like gifts from the earth. He became known as the quiet, kind man who always had extra vegetables to give away, who told people without preaching that eating fresh food had saved his life. He became living proof that it wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing life, one vegetable at a time. His emotional healing was equally profound. He forgave himself for the years he had lost. He found peace in the simple act of nourishing his body. He started journaling, reflecting on the person he had become. He no longer felt like a ghost wandering through his own life. He felt present. He felt real. He felt worthy of a second chance. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the houses and cast an amber glow over the community garden, Daniel stood surrounded by the vegetables he had grown with his own hands. The air smelled of earth and sweetness. Children laughed in the distance. A warm breeze carried the promise of tomorrow, and for the first time in decades, Daniel whispered the truth to himself without fear. He was alive, truly alive. The vegetables hadn't just nourished his body, they had nourished his spirit. They had pulled him back from the edge. They had given him a reason to wake up. And in that moment, standing in the middle of the vibrant green garden, he realized that the pamphlet he once brushed off as simple, The Power of Vegetables, the American Guide to Healthy Eating, had become the blueprint for rebuilding his life. It wasn't a diet. It wasn't a trend. It was a reminder that healing often begins with something small, something humble, something growing quietly in the soil waiting to give life. Yellow heart, if this story touched your heart, if Daniel's journey reminded you that change is possible no matter how far you've fallen, please like, comment, and share this video. Your support not only helps this channel, it helps stories like this reach someone who may need hope today. Yellow heart, before the final closing backhand index pointing right. Special request a comment below which vegetable inspired you today. And now, let this story stay with you not as fiction, but as a gentle reminder that your next chapter can begin with the smallest seed of change. Every choice matters, every meal matters, every step matters, and you matter more than you know.